Welcome to Oneness and Wellness. This is part 2 of the program on anxiety with Lorraine Goldblum and Marsha Reddington-Lawton, and we're going to be talking about some ways that the body reacts to the anxiety and something that we might be able to do about it. So, ladies.
Well, it's a big issue, and we just, that first episode flew, didn't it?
It always does.
There's lots to talk about
does.
when you talk about anxiety. And I was talking about from my personal experience how it's such a physical issue. So, even before going into how we cope with it on all levels, including a physical issue, someone during break, brought out the important relationship between anxiety and addiction. Because it's something that's so difficult, we try to manage it. Right. We try to manage it in all sorts of different ways, and some are healthy and some are not. And I think there's a lot of addictions that happen just trying to manage that, everything from just, a drink to food to escaping on social media. And social media causes anxiety, but it's also an escape. Video games, all of these can sort of be traced back to ways that we just try to manage that anxiety because it can be so unbearable, can it?
Yeah, I just remember my grandson saying to his mother, "Leave me alone. All I want to do is play my game here. I don't want to talk about what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Because he's in the middle of this moment of anxiety.
Of course, it's a way to check out of that moment.
Right.
And all of those things, any addiction is a way to manage or avoid feeling what you're trying to feel. That's why we reach for fill in the blank.
Right.
And because anxiety is such a physical issue, it can have such strong physical manifestations. It's one that demands management on some level.
Which we can see as a pro or a con. Mm-hmm. The con is, oh no, this is going to kill me. This is just so miserable that I have to run away or do whatever I need. Or my body's talking to me.
Yeah.
And I'm listening today.
Yeah.
And if I don't have a good answer, by the end of the day, I'm going to have an idea about what I can do to truly respect what my body's saying to me and speak to it and answer it.
Yeah. Well said. I think, thank God for the issues that bring us to our knees.
Sincerely.
Thank God for the things that just make you stop dead in your tracks and say, okay, I have to deal with this. I have to take this on. I am not willing to live like this. What is really going on here? As you said earlier, it's a very humbling process, to realize this is big and you need help somehow.
It takes courage to be able to look at that. You have to. People don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to look at the issue. Right. They want to just, turn on the television, play the, the game.
Yeah.
Don't let me not be responsible for me. And yet, what are they giving up? They're giving up their lives.
Right. And a very hard question to ask, this came up during break as well, it's a hard question. What do we get out of our issues? All of our issues, as difficult as they are, we get something out of them. For me, anxiety, it's painful, but then again, well, look at all the things I have to worry about. Look at all the things I have to take care of. Oh, it makes me feel important or special. And I think that's a big thing that our issues give us, is a sense of feeling special. And so, of course, awakening is letting go of all that, but you have to be honest, and be willing to give that up, which brings us back to the humbling process and taking a look at, what we have to do to be willing to let this go, and observe grace playing to allow this to let go and to recognize there's a greater force at play. And to support that process of freedom. So, of course, with Vortex Healing, the work, it doesn't come from you, it comes through you. You're a channel for a divine presence to sort of meet that issue wherever and however it sits in the system. And ultimately, it's about coming back to this very moment. But on practical levels, I know that just the classic yoga alternate nostril breathing, which is something that one does before meditation, you know, which integrates the nadi system, which is like the the subtle nervous system, as we describe it, that balances out that sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Because as you well know, with your nursing background, how anxiety looks on that physical level.
Well, I think actually everybody knows what it is because
Yeah.
we've all experienced it. So I just really want to underline what you were just talking about. Something as simple as doing the alternative nostril breathing makes a huge difference. It's a way of getting inside, returning back to self. Because when we're anxious and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't want to deal with this, it's a lot more fun to deal with all of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
a preoccupation. And if you take all this away, what have you got left? You've got you left. And it takes courage. It takes courage and it takes devotion to self,
Yeah.
self-love,
Yeah.
to be able to do the work that brings you free from all of this.
Yeah.
And the more free you are, the more you can engage your own life and support everybody else's.
Right, and it's a self-discipline, you know,
Yeah.
there has to be some self-discipline.
Yeah.
If you don't have that,
Yeah.
you know, it's like practicing meditation or mindfulness. You say, I'm going to start the day that way, or
Yeah.
starting the day with a prayer, or whatever you've decided you're going to
Yeah.
start the day. And then something else comes up, and
Right.
okay, and then you let go of it. And
Yeah.
that's, you have to stay with it. If
Yeah.
you want to experience a change,
Right.
there has to be some consistency.
Absolutely, and that consistency gives you room to see what's really going on. For example, my anxiety wasn't about survival. My personal anxiety had a lot to do with a deep sense of loss in my system. And I was anxious about not feeling that loss again. Does that make sense? Especially, you know, that perfect moment I talked
Right,
about.
right.
I had everything. How could I possibly be anxious in this moment? Because I had everything, and because of my past experience, I was afraid of losing everything. Oddly, when you have nothing to lose. I live a very blessed life, and that moment was a beautiful example of the joy that I had. And my anxiety came from I know it's twisted to say it aloud, but these are how our issues work. The fear of losing that created this tremendous anxiety for me.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to figure that out.
You went out of the present moment, you went into the future, all of these things that could happen.
Right.
When you're talking about that, what that makes me think about is that we all have issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here to learn. We all have issues. Nobody's, separate from that. It is actually, if we can allow ourselves to understand that when the issues come up, that brick wall, whatever that comes up, it's our being that's saying, all right, this is the next thing that's in the way of your freedom. Let's take a look at this. Let's figure out how to have a different relationship where we're not defined by it, but set free through it.
Right.
So as we work on our issues of loss, we release the pain and the history and the lineage and the stories.
Yep.
And that pain isn't there, it's just a fact. Yes, that was a loss.
Right.
But I'm still here and I am whole.
Yeah.
But we get to that place doing the work for the freedom. And I think the pain and the suffering is where the flag goes up and says, come focus here.
Yeah. Yeah. And anxiety can be a cover-up for other issues as well. It's kind of an all-purpose thing.
Right.
We're worried about survival, we're worried about loss, we're worried about other issues, and then we have an anxiety of feeling how we actually feel in the moment. So we project ourselves forward or backward. But, very often, if you're really willing to face anxiety and bring yourself back to the moment, just see it for what it is, it can be very revealing about where you need to go. And thank God we have tools.
Yeah, I think I was just thinking recently, a couple of weeks ago, I had this anxious moment, and it was related for me to sleep deprivation. that I hadn't had a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And then, so my body was already compromised in some way. And then all I needed was to hear this da-da, 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 and
Yeah.
I became anxious.
Yep.
I felt my anxiety. I
Yeah.
didn't become anxious. I felt my anxiety
Very good.
because I wanted to get back to who I really am.
Yeah, yeah,
So breathe. I was breathing, and
right. And
I have a
this,
sniffer. I sniff.
oh, good for you. And that sense of what's happening right now is not okay, therefore it means, you know, how anxiety builds on itself. I don't feel well in the moment. And for some reason, many of us just can't accept, oh, I don't feel well in the moment. I don't feel well in the moment, and therefore that means I'm not going to be able to function at work today. I'm not ever going to get better. I'm not, it just seems to build very quickly, and there we need to manage it, and before we know it, we're out doing so much about it that sometimes we just need to recognize that, stop, be okay with what's happening in the moment, allow ourselves to be there, and then work from there.
Right. Excuse me. Let me just say this. I know a lot of people, in looking at how to deal with it, go to medication, and they medicate themselves.
And some people really need that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
But what are some of the other ways that you would deal with anxiety? Not so much maybe the panic part of it, but maybe just the.
Well, part of it is our five senses really limit us. I mean, we can see less than 0.00% of what really exists or something like that. I mean, our five senses really narrow us in what we can perceive. And the upside on that is if we're really anxious and we say, okay, what do I see right now? What are the colors that I see? What do I smell? What do I feel? All of those things actually narrow us into the moment, into the mindfulness, which is where we can begin to reestablish a relationship with ourselves. Because when we're anxious, what we really are is disconnected from ourselves.
Right.
We're outside.
Yeah.
We're not aware of what's going on. So when we get anxious, just doing a mindful checking in with our five senses, we immediately, our body becomes more calm, begins to be more calm, and we have the capacity to say, I don't know, or I do know what my anxiety is about. And when we allow ourselves to honor what our body is saying, the wisdom, that gives us the capacity to become more proactive, not a victim of it,
Right.
but proactive. What am I going to do about this? Because I choose not to live this way anymore.
And in moments when that doesn't cover it,
Yes.
I strongly encourage people to talk to someone. You know, start with a friend. You know, sometimes just talking through it, a loving friend, that presence that my friend and colleague,
That's
just
right.
what's happening in this moment. And if you need to, you know, I'm not a doctor or a therapist, take it to a doctor or a therapist. You know, do what you need to do to have someone really reflect back to you, what is this about?
We're going to stop with that idea. And I love the idea of, you talked about love, and that brings us back to our hearts, coming from our hearts, bringing in love. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Thank you for watching. For more information, check out our website, www.onenessandwellness.com. Thank you. Look forward to hearing us, and watch our show.
If you'd like more information about Vortex Healing, you can go to my website, LorraineGoldblum.com, or Vortex Healing in general, you can go to vortexhealing.org, where you can get more information on other teachers, as Vortex Healing is taught all over the world.
We're back with the second part of the second program on anxiety, and we're here with Lorraine and Masha, and we're talking about the ways in which we can cope with or deal with or heal with anxiety.
Yeah. And we were talking about, we were talking about putting it, you know, on the table, sharing, reflecting back to, you know, what is this anxiety really about? But, you know, the act of talking about it and sharing it brings you back into presence. And you were talking about just being in the heart. You know, just the importance of that, coming around to that as an expression of presence.
I think the way our society or the planet's presently functioning in so much chaos, heart, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, people are in so much survival mode and so much in the head. You know, the headlines, the true issues with paying your bills, the concerns for the loved ones. I mean, everything. It's overwhelming. And that is this fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
Okay. And about the science of the heart, what it has, the research is magnificent and directly helps people with post-traumatic stress and all sorts of things. It's about returning to the heart. And returning to the heart, it's really hard to feel compassion when you want to punch somebody out.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, when we can take the time out and begin to invest in ourselves. When's the last time I went for a walk? Had a cup of tea with my best friend without any other responsibilities. How do I start my morning? A meditation with headlines. How do I end my day?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, we can't be inspired and anxious at the same time.
Yeah.
And the Native American story, when the little boy talked to the medicine man or the chief, I have two parts of me inside. It's like an angry wolf and the empowered, happy, vital wolf. Which one is going to win inside of me? I have them both inside. And the medicine man says, the one we feed. And if we don't feed our heart and we don't feed inspiration in our lives, how can we possibly even think about getting out of being anxious all the time? Because nobody's investing here.
Yeah. Aside from my morning meditation practice and my healing practice, before I go to bed at night, I watch cute animal videos.
Oh.
I do, I swear I do. I started with like puppies and kittens, and then I moved into baby sloths, and wombats are awesome, and all of that kind of thing. And as you said very well, it really just opens the heart and that joy that's always present. And we were also talking about resilience and how do you keep coming back, your tools to manage that. Whatever you do to bring you back into the moment, recognize that the moment is continuously changing, and what was awful a moment ago may not be awful in this moment. And just keep on coming back. Yes, but how is it now? How is it now? It was awful yesterday, but how is it now? It was awful 5 minutes ago. How is it now? When we're really willing to let all of that go, come back to be present in the heart, there we are. And I say it like it's so easy. If you've really struggled with anxiety, I don't mean to say, oh, just do a meditation and you'll be fine. No. But, whatever you do, your tools, your medication, your vortex healing, your breath work, understand that that's where we're going. And that's where the freedom is.
Oh, that's right.
In the walks in the woods, and being barefoot on the earth and hugging trees and playing with your kittens and doing the things that tickle you.
Yeah.
That's not reading headlines.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's feeding yourself. It's saying, I count.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nature is there for us. You said you have we have an audience with us, and one member of that audience, she does a lot of postings about nature, flowers and bees and butterflies and all the things that bring joy to us. And we must never, leave that out.
Right.
Mother Earth is there to help each one of us.
Yeah.
Take the time to go for a walk.
Yeah.
You can be with someone or you can be by yourself.
Yeah.
But you're not by yourself because you're with all of these trees that are calling to us and speak to us, in so many different ways. So, I mean, there are ways, even within the city, there are places that we can find.
There's, and joy is the recognition of grace, wherever that is, the beautiful tree in the wood, that fantastic, billboard in the city that's so colorful. There's grace everywhere if we're willing to put down our stuff, our stories, and really just be present with that.
Right.
And that's where our work is, recognizing that, everything we do will bring us back to that, getting the other stuff out of the way so that we can just be.
Exactly.
Easier said than done, but that's life.
But when's the last time we had a conversation about investing in ourselves? And not in, as far as making money or getting a better job or
Yeah.
a new outfit, but in the heart.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time anybody took a walk in the woods? I have a dear friend, and the greatest thing, it was a cold winter day, and it wasn't raining, but it was, so moist your skin hurt.
Yeah.
And it was gray, and it was a little windy, and we were in the woods, and she starts to laugh, and I said, "What are you laughing at? I mean, please share what you're laughing at."
Yeah.
And she says, "It's gray. Everything's gray. Don't you love it?" Had she not done that, I would have missed it. And it redefined everything.
Yeah.
She found the inspiration in a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like there's been a lot of rain recently, and people, oh, my name, oh, it's raining again. And I said, I know, it's beautiful though, isn't it? It feels like it's washing us over. It's healing us. It's refreshing us. And he said, looks at me like this. I said, and then you can say, maybe it's Mother Earth crying because there's so much going on that she doesn't like that's happening in this earth, So anyway, but there's, the rain is beautiful.
Yeah. And this is what our issues do. They close us off from appreciating what's going on around us.
Exactly.
And we live in this bubble of our experience of self, our anxiety. And I remember just walking down the street with a friend complaining about something, and we were all in our me, and we walked by a pet store, and suddenly there was this puppy in the window, and everything fell away.
Yes.
It was like, oh, cold exterior, melting, no, too much cuteness. You can't fight the open heart. Despite myself and my complaining and my issues and my anxiety of the moment, when faced with this beautiful little puppy grace,
Right.
it just doesn't hold up. But you have to be willing to put that down.
Right.
You have to be willing to put your stuff down.
That's right. And see the beauty. I was shopping, food shopping yesterday, and this little boy he was in with his mother, and he was making all these faces. She said, "Don't be making those faces." I love those faces. Make some more. And he was making. It was adorable.
Yeah.
And then he laughed. It's like, enjoy the moment. That's what I try to do, is enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
I get lost sometimes, but.
Yeah. Well, we
Come
judge
back.
ourselves too, if we don't feel like it's going, and then judgment becomes another hurdle to being present.
Yeah.
It gets messy, but it's always there for us. It's always there. Our heart is with us wherever we go.
Amen.
Opening that heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
My heart to your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your heart.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And your heart out there.
Yeah. So, no, it's been lovely to be able to sort of share this. It's one of these issues that just needs to be discussed, and just needs to be shared and recognized and valued for what it is that it can be addressed.
Depending upon how we look at it, there is a richness to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, an opportunity to sort of come together and be open about it. And so there's such a stigma about our issues and anxiety and mental health and all of that, and it's time for that is over.
Yeah. I'm feeling anxious. I can say it.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not anxiety. I am me. I'm going to move away from that and find something to replace that with my heart.
You got this. You got this. You got the whole point of everything I wanted to bring to the table today.
Great.
Thank
Well,
you.
Oh, it's been so nice to have you, Lorraine.
Thank you.
And
This has been wonderful.
And I love doing these segments on issues because they pertain to all of us.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And of course, I love to see Marsha. That's great fun. And we just have a long history. I'm seeing you in some of those old videos, and it's just really hilarious,
Absolutely.
No, but it's not that you're hilarious. It's just there's so much fun to see some of those old videos. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We have more with Vortex Healing and Lorraine and Marsha coming up. There's another session coming up on loneliness. Namaste.
Namaste.